Hey there everybody, Trudy here, One Grounded Angel, and this is the weekly angel card reading for the week starting Monday, April the 20th through to the 26th, 2020. It's a lot of twos, isn't it? And maybe that will mean something meaningful for the week ahead. So I'm shuffling the cards now. For those of you who aren't sure how this works, I shuffle the cards until a card jumps out, or until I kind of get a sense intuitively that it's time to stop. So Monday we have this card here, these cards literally jumped out. The card is take your time making this decision, and I use different card decks for each day of the week, but everybody has their own kind of methodology. For me personally, I just like seeing the messages, the similar messages or similar themes unfold over the week across different decks. So take your time making this decision. Bad week for you if you're a Libra, I guess. Famously not good at making decisions. I think we're in this interesting period where we're in a holding pattern really, and a lot of us can't get a lot of go forward with our plans, with our goals, and there's a lot of value in that because it's giving us the opportunity to rethink, was this actually what I wanted anyway? Have I gone off track? What would I do differently when we go back to normal, whatever that might look like now, or in the future? What do I want to keep from the old normal, and what do I want to change? Basically, we're in a life review period, and you can't rush into making any decisions anyway, even if you wanted to, because there's not much, depending on what your goal is, of course, there's probably not a lot you can do. But this is really just reinforcing the need to really take your time in crystallizing your plans, your goals, your visions, and not just trying to, in order to make yourself feel secure, it can be probably quite tempting to go, I'm going to make a plan, and you might find that it's just not a workable plan. So maybe we need more information before we reach final conclusions about what we want to do. What I'm getting now actually is there's a few more things that need to develop before we can figure out what we need to do next. Now, a second card has jumped out. Write about your thoughts and feelings, and this is one that came up, I want to say 2 weeks ago, but I can't remember exactly. And the reason that card is significant is because so many of us are processing big emotions at the moment, and when you sort of let them bounce around your head like a ping pong ball, it doesn't help. It doesn't help you get any clarity on what you're feeling. It doesn't help you let go. It doesn't do anything at all. It just gives your brain something to do, so it feels like it's working on things. So in order to get things out of here, putting them onto paper can really help. People who are particularly visual might prefer to do art, write a song, I don't know, whatever it is, but doing something to get things out of here and onto a page, onto something else, they're not as heavy, can be really helpful. So if we put these two cards together, we might conclude maybe it's time to do a bit of writing or a bit of vision boarding, whatever your jam is, to formulate your plan for how you will move forward when you have the opportunity to do that. So Tuesday, I just bent this card. Whoops. The card is commitment. Couple of different ways this shows up. It could be about asking you to honor the commitments that you have made, unless of course those commitments are no longer healthy for you. But if you have gone off track with the goals you originally set, the things you intended to do, then this is your sort of wake-up call to come back to that. Sometimes people will spend their holiday season over, December and January, that break, really thinking about what they want to do differently in the new year. And what happens is, in many cases, not all, they get into maybe February and it's all forgotten. So now that we do have this time to really do some good thinking and self-reflection, this might be the time that you come back to what it is you committed to and why that was so important to you. It might no longer be important to you, and that's okay, but really thinking about what are the things that I'm committed to. Have my actions been in alignment with my values, with the things that I committed to? And if not, why not? Is it procrastination? Procrastination's fear. So you need to, instead of going, oh, well, I'm just lazy, I've got no willpower, which is not true. You need to be prepared to sit with that and go, what is it I'm afraid of? Am I afraid of failure? Am I afraid of being successful and then being singled out by other people, or earning the judgment of other people. So those could be things that you might like to work through with a therapist or an energy healer. Of course, other commitments are things like family commitments and relationships. So making sure that you're honouring those, if that's what that card means for you. Wednesday's card, the 22nd of April. Sometimes they make me work for it. Wow, two very, very big messages here. So we have prosperity. We've had quite a number of cards in the last few weeks about this idea of abundance, about the flow of money, and of course it's so pertinent because so many of you have had your livelihood threatened by the pandemic. And the card is letting you know that, actually let me just read it to you. Your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into reality. So sometimes this card does come up for people who are contemplating a life change, such as starting a new job, starting a new business, moving to a new city, and they're just worried that it's going to threaten their financial security, and they're looking for a bit of reassurance, and this card can certainly provide that. But I think so many of us, we may not be, even if we're not embarking on anything new, there is so much uncertainty ahead of us, and maybe this card is just purely coming up to let you know that you are going to have enough of what you need, and that's been a big message lately. And Wednesday's other card, big message here as well, you are safe. Everybody needs this. This pandemic is bringing up all of our safety fears, our fears about our financial futures, our fears about our family connections, our fears about being able to support ourselves, about our health, whether that's threatened. It's been a really, really tough time. And, you know, even when this pandemic finishes, people may still struggle with safety. And the reason for that is because, this is my theory, all of us have safety fears on some level, and they come to the surface based on different circumstances or things that can go on in our lives. Your ego is trying really hard to keep you safe. It doesn't want you to take risks. It doesn't want you to do new things. It wants you to have exactly the same day after day, because you have a routine, and then it knows not to expect anything, no surprises, everything's safe. We know how to deal with everything that comes up. And so if you are contemplating a big change like the business I've just mentioned, that's going to invoke all your safety fears. And the thing to remember about safety fears is not only that all of us have had past lives where we have, you know, been unsafe, we've experienced trauma, we've experienced horrible situations. That energy is still with us, even though we don't know what's happened. But many of us have also grown up in childhoods or childhood homes where there wasn't safety. And at the extreme end, of course, there could be situations like violence or mental illness or substance abuse. But there can also be a lack of emotional stability where you weren't allowed to talk about your emotions. Your parents weren't there for you. You didn't get, you know, your emotional needs met, and therefore you didn't feel safe. So those sorts of things as well are big when it comes to safety, and it's huge at the moment because of the pandemic. What I'm saying is it has its roots way back, and so a lot of the work I do with people in energy healing is around really getting to the heart of what those safety fears look like and how we can clear out the trauma associated with whatever happened. If we're able to do that, sometimes we don't know where it's come from, but we can still clear it even not knowing, and really helping you feel a better sense of safety and an ability to trust the universe. Because when we don't trust the universe to look after us, we stay in jobs that we hate, which pay well. We stay in relationships where we're not happy, but we're terrified of being on our own. All those sorts of things. It's a big message. Oh, Thursday. Try not to have favourites, but if I did have to pick favourites, this would be one of my favourite cards. I know I've told this story many times, but if you haven't seen this before, this is the Banksia. It is an Australian flower which flourishes in bushfires, because that is when the heat of the bushfire is how it sows its seeds, which ensures the growth of the tree. Its survival comes from adversity, and the card is all about new beginnings. There's a phoenix-like quality with this card, and I know it's appropriate given that I've just referenced bushfires, but any tragedy, I don't want to frame a tragedy as a good thing because it's clearly not, but some of the things that we've been through, which we felt, you know, have destroyed us, have damaged us. We feel like we're, you know, flawed because of what we've been through. The card reminds you that you are stronger because of what you've been through, which doesn't make it okay that it's happened. You're still allowed to hold those feelings of regret or shame or anything like that you're holding. But really the card is asking you to believe that better things are ahead. And just because you're not defined by what's happened to you, and just because crappy things have happened doesn't mean that crappy things will continue to happen. Sure, they may happen, but it doesn't mean that you're destined to keep attracting these, I guess, difficult circumstances. To some extent, difficult circumstances are a part of life. They're how we grow, so they will still keep happening. But when we have this fear around really terrible things continuing to happen, or nothing ever works out for me, or the universe is against me, and of course that would happen, you know, that kind of self-defense of, oh, of course I would be the one who's, I don't know, car gets stolen or whatever it is. When we've got that kind of stuff going on, we will attract more of those outcomes. And it's really about sitting with what's happened and saying, what can I learn from this? How am I better off because of this? Even if you can find just one thing, it doesn't make it okay that it's happened, but if you can find just one thing that will help you, that's something that you've learned from it that will help you frame it a little bit more as a learning experience rather than something that has contributed to your demise. Yeah, the ultimate message of that card is to believe that better things are ahead and to understand that you're not defined by what's happened to you. I think I went off on a massive tangent there, so hopefully that resonated. Friday's card here we have is compassion. The vibration of compassion shines through my every cell. I mean, we're in a situation now where we're being called to have such compassion for people around us. And before the pandemic, so many of us were locked into our individual lives and not really seeing people who were struggling or even aware of our neighbours in some cities. And now we're kind of being called to assume more of a responsibility for those around us. And part of the way to do that is by approaching a situation with compassion instead of judgment. So this card could be speaking to you personally about the way that you judge yourself, you shame yourself, you beat yourself up for things that you've done. It may be asking you to see yourself with some self-compassion, which is a really powerful platform for growth. We don't change as a result of shaming ourselves. We tend to change and grow as a result of starting from a place of self-compassion, believing in ourselves. I hope that made sense. If that's how it's showing up for you around that self-compassion stuff, you've probably got a bit of work to do in terms of working on your relationship with yourself. But it could also be, as I mentioned, about compassion for other people and just challenging you at a very simple level to do one thing today for someone else. And it doesn't mean forcing it on them or taking away their free will or anything like that. It's about we have to be able to pick our moments and really think about, is this helpful, or is it me trying to be a hero, which I don't think anyone here would do, but there are certainly people who do that out there. Saturday's card is Enchantment. So this is all about that beautiful Pisces, daydreamy kind of energy coming through. And what I'm getting from this is that some of us are in survival mode right now because our routines have been upended. We're dealing with homeschooling, we're trying to work from home if we're still working, or we're trying to find a new work situation. It's really not a great place to be bringing through it's really not a great space to be thinking about things like creativity, because you can't give enough of your energy or enough of your, I guess, mental real estate to that. But this card is inviting you to try and do something creative. It will help settle your energy, calm you. It will help you better connect to your intuition, to be more present. And I'm not talking about spending 2 days painting a mural on the side of the house, although if you have time and capacity and the desire to do that, by all means, I would love to see the photos if you do that. It's more about even just spending 20 minutes sketching or 20 minutes, journaling, to reference Monday's card. Because when we bring in that beautiful daydreamy quality, we remember possibility. We remember that we're not trapped. We remember that we're so much more than we start to remember basically that we're a soul having a human experience, not a human having a soul experience. We can channel that kind of that growth energy, that beautiful, I guess almost like a romantic energy in a way, but not romantic in terms of a relationship, if that made sense. That just that creative kind of space. Oh, Sunday's card. Workshops and seminars. I mean, how appropriate in the age of Zoom. Spending some time upskilling, retraining, all that sort of thing. You're probably all over it. Here in Australia, there are a number of educational institutes that have released some free training via Zoom or webinars or whatever it is all about. And so that could be an opportunity for you wherever you live. I'm sure there are places that are offering this, to do some upskilling, to take those workshops you've been thinking about doing, just to keep your brain stimulated, basically. But it could also be inviting you to do the teaching and to lead. If this is something that your intuition has already been giving you a bit of a prod on, this could be the sign that confirms it's right for you. The skills that you've got, the experience you've got, the story you've got to share, to start doing that in some format, obviously via distance at the moment, given our restraints, but you can certainly do that online and reach a wider audience. Yeah, I mean, the card isn't really specific about the area because it really depends on what you're at. Where you're at. Sorry, I'm not very articulate today, am I? Maybe I need to do some upskilling on public speaking. Anyway, so this is the week. I think we've got a lot of different messages. Like the past couple of weeks, there is a bit of a theme about doing some reflection on where we're going, what we want to become, what we want to focus on. You know, asking us to honor what we've committed to express our emotions, to do some more thinking, and to really challenge some of those limiting beliefs and fears that are coming up for you around safety, around fears of not having enough. There's some beautiful, hopeful messages here with the new beginnings, and I love this enchantment energy as well. So we've also got a few practical messages. It's a bit of a mixed bag, really, this being one of the practical ones. Bit of a mixed bag, but hey, we're in strange times where anything can happen. So take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. Remember to keep breathing deep into your belly very slowly. It helps calm your nervous system, which calms every cell in your body and helps you feel safe, helps you feel calm, helps you get less locked into this frantic kind of mental energy that's going on. It's going to be okay. I don't know how, but that is the message that keeps coming through. It's going to be okay. I don't know when, but we will be okay. Take care. I'll see you next week.